crunch. Ah, deep fried food. We can't seem to get enough of it, despite knowing that they are very unhealthy. It's pretty straightforward, right? Reduce oil, therefore reduce our calorie intake. But I want to know just how much more healthier air frying is compared to deep frying.
I've carefully selected 3 different types of food, and each food item will be air fried and deep fried.
First, chicken, the most common item that we deep fry. Second, selar kuning, the fish that we normally eat with our nasi lemak. And our favorite processed food, fries. I'm making them from scratch because processed chips are already high in calories.
Unsaturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. So for potatoes, you're going to test for acrylamide as well, right?
Yes, that is right.
After more than a week, I received the results.
Yeah, sure. So now we have 2 samples here. We have the air-fried chicken and the deep-fried chicken here. And if you look at the fat composition, the saturated fat content has about 38% reduction in the air-fried version. And what is interesting here is the trans fatty acid content has been cut by 55% in the air-fried version. It's even worse than saturated fat because that increases your bad cholesterol and brings down the good cholesterol in your blood and worsens your risk of heart disease. So these are good results to see. So moving on to the cholesterol, there's about a 25% reduction as well. And cholesterol, again, is not that good for heart health. Okay, so similarly, when we look at the air-fried fish versus the deep-fried fish, you can see saturated fatty acids has been reduced by about 53%. Interestingly, there's not much significant difference in the trans fat content, perhaps because already to start with, the fish did not have much of trans fatty acids. Yeah. So moving on to cholesterol, you don't see a very big difference.
Why is there not a big difference in cholesterol?
It really depends on the kind of meat that you're dealing with, and fish, we know that is naturally healthier.
And now for our air-fried potatoes.
So if we look at the saturated fatty acids, there's about 53% reduction in the air-fried version as compared to the deep-fried version. We don't see any difference in the trans fatty acids. Probably it's because it's already quite low to start with in the fresh potatoes that you used. Potatoes do not have cholesterol because it's a plant-based food.
Right.
So when it comes to trans fat, air frying helped to cut it down by 55% in my chicken samples. More significant were the results for saturated fat, which saw a reduction between 38 and 53% across all my samples. Finally, what I'm most curious about, acrylamide levels. Acrylamide. Why am I testing that? Well, that's because acrylamide is a chemical that can form in starchy foods during high-temperature cooking processes. Several reports have suggested that the presence of acrylamide in food has the potential to cause cancer. In February, tests by the Hong Kong Consumer Council found acrylamide in French fries that were air-fried in various models of air fryers. Some samples had acrylamide levels higher than the EU benchmark.
So it says here that deep-fried potatoes contain less than 10 micrograms per kg, and air-fried potatoes contain 1,400 micrograms per kg. It's a huge spike from deep-fried foods. So shouldn't I be worried about that?
Yeah, definitely. I understand if it raises some concern. But there is no reference point or a cutoff point to say what is safe and what is not safe. In fact, WHO has recognized the fact that there's lacking evidence in the area of human studies. A lot of studies that have been done in the area of acrylamide has been based on lab animals, right?
So why is there such a huge difference in the levels of acrylamide between air-fried and deep-fried fries?
So there can be three factors that influence the cooking time, cooking temperature, and also the preparation. Would you mind telling me what temperature you cook the potatoes at?
Well, I air-fried them at 200 degrees for 14 minutes, and I deep-fried them between medium to high heat for 8 minutes.
So our recommendation is to cook at 180 degrees or slightly below, and if you're cooking fresh potatoes, 160 for the first part and then 180 for the second part, and that will reduce the quantity of acrylamide that forms.
So my air-fried potatoes contained higher levels of acrylamide because I cooked it for too long and at too high a temperature.
So if I'm still concerned about acrylamide in my food, how can I ensure that the levels are kept low?
If you soak the potatoes actually before you cook, that will remove a lot of the starch, and that's where that sugar content is that then influence the formation of acrylamide. It actually makes the fries taste better, and then there is a lower component of acrylamide as well. And if you store the potatoes in the refrigerator at a too low temperature, that will increase the sugar content and then increase the amount of acrylamide.
So is there anything that I can observe in the food that I air fry?
Absolutely. I mean, that golden brown texture that you're looking for in beautiful homemade fries, if it's too brown, then that's a good sign that there's a bit too much acrylamide forming in that crust. So stick to the golden brown. Again, acrylamide, it's naturally occurring in food. It has been there since time immemorial, and it will be there also in the future. It's just about how you can reduce that through those cooking techniques.
Since acrylamide levels in air-fried food can be controlled, and air-fried food is healthier than deep-fried ones, so for now, I guess I'll just have to air-fry at home when I'm craving for something deep-fried.